Well, I said at the start of the show, we have a guest in studio. I love in studio, so much more fun. We have Tina Ramirez joining us in studio. She's sitting here today. She is a candidate for U.S. Congress from the state of Virginia. It's CD7, right? Congressional District 7. So, first of all, I'll just tell you, my friends, I met Tina a few months ago through some mutual friends, and my husband and I were at a conference last week. We ran into her there, which was really fun, in California. So now here we are back in Texas. She's here in Texas visiting. I wanted to have her come on and just talk to you about her campaign. So welcome, Tina.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you all, and it's nice to meet you. If you want to learn more, it's tinaramirez.com. So
I have that right here on my sheet. Yes. So I will. I do want to, I think you have, first of all, I love that you're running for Congress. I love that. I love having Republican women run for Congress.
Yeah, there needs to be more of us out there.
Yeah. But I want to have you start because I think you have such an interesting life. I mean, different than a lot of long-term, just political type people. So would you just give our listeners a little bit of a flavor of your background in life? I just think it's so interesting.
Yeah, sure. So you're right. I'm not a politician. I haven't run for office before. This is my first time. I run an international organization that defends religious liberty around the world. So I've spent the majority of the last 20 years in about 30 different countries helping
30 countries.
30.
Okay.
And not, like the hot spots where you'd like to go on vacation, but places like Nigeria and Sudan and Iraq that are conflict zones. And in those environments, I've been helping people find freedom. And so we established leaders in these countries that can help the people defend their religious freedom. We have Thomas Jefferson and Patrick Henry and all of those people even today. You can, if you need a lawyer, you can find any of them that can help you with religious liberty cases. But around the world, that just doesn't happen. And so that's what we're establishing in countries where they're experiencing severe religious conflicts, so we can help turn the tide against it.
That is honestly just the most amazing and unique thing especially for a woman. To the countries you mentioned are often unfriendly toward women or limiting of women's rights. Did you ever feel unsafe in these adventures around the world?
No, I've never been unsafe, which I guess is a miracle and through a lot of prayer, I'm sure. But in each of the countries where I travel, I have a lot of local partners that I've worked with for many years. And so they provide a lot of protection and support for me when I'm there. And so I feel very at home wherever I'm traveling. And I mean, these are people that are risking their lives to find freedom. So I know that my life is very important to them. And so I do put myself in their hands when I'm there.
So you're not just pursuing religious freedom for Christians, it's for any groups, is
exactly.
that right?
Yep, I defend everybody. In America we have the First Amendment and it protects everyone, and if, it's kind of like it's a sinking ship. If you're, if it's just for one person, then it's not for everyone really. And so that's what I do, is I defend the dignity and freedom of every person to believe what they want, regardless of whether I agree with them or not. And so in countries like Sudan, you may remember there was this case several years ago of a pregnant woman that was going to be put to death. Her name was Miriam Ibrahim.
Yep. And
the Sudanese government said she was an apostate. She was forced to recant her faith, and she wouldn't do it. And it was 5 Muslim lawyers that actually came in her defense that we worked with that defended her religious freedom. And they said, look, no one should be forced to recant their faith. We want to help you, and by helping you, we can help hundreds of others that are forced to recant their faith under the blasphemy laws in Sudan. So they did, and they risked everything to defend her. So,
okay, I actually talked about that case in the show. They were Muslim lawyers defending her.
It was 5 Muslim lawyers. And then our team, we had Muslims and Christians across the country. But in Sudan, the only people that can work at the Supreme Court at the time or that had experience were Muslims. And so she had to have Muslim lawyers defend her. And these are lawyers that were challenging the blasphemy laws. And in Sudan, historically, there's been a lot of support amongst Muslims and Christians to work together, because the dictator of Sudan, who's now been taken out of power, Omar al-Bashir, he was an equal opportunity oppressor. He killed, Darfurians because they were the wrong kind of Muslim, and he killed people across the South that were Christians or animists. So everybody was united in their effort to actually stand up to this dictator. And when Miriam stood up to him, then this was a really important case for the people to come together and win. So
that is so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, we could talk the whole time about your life adventures, but I do want to turn to Virginia, running for Congress, and it's Congressional District 7.
Yeah.
This is a district where I'm pretty sure that the current office holder is just a one-term, first-term Democrat.
Yeah.
And prior to that was a Republican I'm losing his.
Yeah, this seat had been held for 30 years by Republicans. It was Dave Bratt, was part of the Freedom Caucus, and then before that, it was Eric Cantor, who was in line to be the Speaker of the House. So this is a really important district, and I like to joke because my day job is dealing with dictators, so I don't feel like going to Congress. I'd be doing much different when it comes to the Democratic Party. You know, I mean, that's
a good line.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've been fighting socialist ideas for the last 20 years. So Bernie and AOC and now Abigail Spanberger essentially represent everything I fought against my entire life. And so I'm excited to be taking this seat back. And it's a critical seat. I know that we're here in Texas and people might wonder, well, why are you talking about a Virginia seat? But the reality is we have to gain 17 seats back in order to regain the majority in Congress this year. And this seat in Richmond, Virginia is one of the most important seats to win back. If we don't win it, we do not win the majority back. And so it's critical. But on top of that, we have seen in the last year how the Democrats have been throwing money like Soros and Bloomberg into all of these states to try to take our states away from us, our conservative states like Texas. Yeah. And they've done the same thing in Virginia. So last year they took control of the House and the Senate. And in the last 2 months, the Virginia legislature, we've seen how they've pushed back on the life issue. They've taken back 20 years of bipartisan legislation to protect life. They've pushed on the Second Amendment, and they've totally dismantled our Second Amendment in Virginia. But this is just a test case for what they want to do across the nation. And so we've got to win this seat back and send a very strong message to Soros and Bloomberg and all of them that you can't have our conservative states.
You can't have our country. I mean,
no.
I said that about Soros.
And we are going to fight. Exactly.
Okay, so on the congressional seats, at 17 we have to win back. And I'm actually focused on a lot of the races and have people on the show because the districts we can flip, this one is particularly flippable. It's almost a fluke that there is a Democrat in that seat.
Absolutely. Well, if we have the right candidate. So I have like 6 other competitors in the nomination process. We have a convention in a couple of months, and I'm the front runner. I was endorsed by the party. They've already said that I would be one of their top candidates in the nation when I win this seat. So this is critical. It's with the right candidates, people that are true conservatives that can help challenge the narrative. You know, when I'm on that seat, or I'm on that podium next to Abigail Spanberger and we're having debates, she's not going to be able to call me a bigot or a misogynist or a racist because my entire life has been anything but that. I've been defending the dignity and freedom all over the world of people so that don't have it. So she's going to have a very hard time, and it's going to challenge the narrative that the liberals want to put on us, that somehow we don't exist as a diverse party, and we do.
I love that too. So in your district, I mean, I don't know all the details about why it flipped this one time, but in your district, do you sense, talking to people, that the voters in your district are very much turned off to the way the Democrats and this particular person holding the seat that you're seeking are treating President Trump? I mean, is there a sense of indignance about the way the Democrats have marched along and fought against President Trump the whole way?
Absolutely. And when we were at that conference, one of the leaders in the Tea Party Patriots was telling me that they polled all of the different districts that were flipped, and that my district was one of the top 2 districts that was the most indignant about the fact that my Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger voted to impeach the president. And so this is one of their top pickups. But look, we saw something else happen in the election where she won the seat, which is that suburban women overwhelmingly supported her. And we can't ignore that fact. And so as a suburban mom myself, and I happen to be a single mother, we've been able to resonate really well with that part of the district. And I think that's one of the reasons that she'll have a hard time when it comes to challenging me, because she's going to have to start talking about issues and policy. And when it comes to that, she's voted lockstep with Nancy Pelosi and AOC. And so we'll be able to take her on and really win back the seat.
I love that, and that was one of the points I want to get to, is this whole idea of the suburban women vote. Supposedly, and I saw some polling which may have been inaccurate, but there's still a big problem. Suburban women, and a lot of it's just not particularly liking President Trump. I mean, it may be because they want certain policies, they feel sympathetic on immigration or the border, but there's also just an anti-Trumpishness. And I have to say, my journey has been from a supporter of a different candidate in the primary in 2016 to kind of being edgy about President Trump, or candidate Trump, wasn't sure, to being just so excited for what he's doing for our country. So do you feel when you're campaigning, are you comfortable and where you are just speaking up for of the agenda President Trump is bringing forth?
Oh, absolutely. The president is doing a great job. I mean, look, I've been to Washington. I worked for a congressman for 4 years. I built a bipartisan caucus to defend religious freedom. So I've had to work in the swamp and in a very difficult environment to fight for our values. And so I know what he's up against. And he is doing a great job cleaning out that swamp, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done, but also looking at deregulation, looking at building our economy, looking at the trade agreements. He's delivered on everything he said he would do.
Yep.
And the things he hasn't been able to deliver on yet, it's because the Congress is stalling it, and he's having to find other ways to get around and do it. But we need people in Congress that are going to be helping him fulfill his agenda, and that's what I intend to do.
I could not agree more. And it's astonishing. I talked to more people who were supporters of some other candidate in the primary, and they honestly, they say not only were they surprised and grateful for the direction of the country and the Trump agenda, but really how much success he's been able to have, even given it's not just the Democrats fighting him. There's some kind of element of the Republican Party that within Congress. It wasn't, maybe they weren't actively fighting him, but they weren't fighting for him. They weren't getting in there in the fight. And this is the kind of people I want to see, because I'm kind of amazed as his agenda is so successful and his polling numbers are so strong within his party, that we still have to that we don't have a strong Democrat support, or excuse me, Republican support for him, as we will as we should have had in the Congress. You think that's shifting, or?
Well, look, I'm in a district that voted plus 6 points for President Trump. So this is a district that went with him, that's very upset that Abigail Spanberger voted for impeachment, and that wants to get this seat back. This is a conservative district. And the reason that I'm resonating with people in the district is because I spent the last 20 years fighting for our conservative values, and in really practical ways. So whether it was in the U.S. Congress building that support, whether it's through my business and defending liberty around the world, which is a very different kind of experience than what many candidates have, and fighting dictators. Or I also worked for the Beckett Fund, which defended Hobby Lobby at the Supreme Court. So I've had like this front row seat to Obamacare and understanding what this fight, and it's a cultural battle for our values, is all about in America.
Well, don't you think actually in the women's vote, again, I love that you're talking directly about the women's vote, but to me the uncertainty among some women is not really because they're opposed to the agenda of the Trump team or the Republican Party. It's just not really understanding it. It's being led along by the media. The media tells them that Republicans are anti-women, or some other slogans they buy into.
Right.
But I actually think I think the best thing the party could do is just educate everyone in America, including women, about what we do stand for and how our ideas work. Right. But how are we going to win the women? You tell us.
No, I absolutely agree with you. So since I'm a single mother, when I look at this, I think one of the things that frustrates me more than anything is I run my business, I run my family, and I have to run it on a budget. And I have to be fiscally responsible. And I can't personally understand why, if I'm willing to risk my life to fight for my daughter to have a future by traveling all over to these different countries and, doing what I do in my day job, and then coming home and having the government take a third of my income and then waste it. And I've literally seen firsthand how it's been wasted overseas, where they spend hundreds of millions of dollars clearing graffiti off of the walls in Iraq, and then the walls get destroyed because the Iraqis and the Kurds fight each other. Or, the amount of waste overseas is insane. And if we can return those wasted resources back to the people that earn them, that's really the key. But look, President Trump has done a good job of building the economy and of trying to restore fiscal responsibility to our country. And that's what women like myself, and 70% of women are single mothers now. That's what they want to hear. Because
wait. 70% of American women are single mothers?
Yes. So the statistics are up to it's like 60, 70, 70% of women are single mothers now.
Wow.
Yes. So it's a huge number, and if I have to provide for my family and provide for my future and my retirement, balance my budget, and run a business at the same time, and there are a lot of working mothers, and the government can't do the same, for me personally, it frustrates me to no end. I am not a piggy bank for them to just an unlimited piggy bank they can just pull from, and that's the way I feel like our government is treating us, and that's what motivates me. On top of all the social issues that I'm extremely concerned about, we are becoming a socialist country where I am just here to work for the government versus the government working for me. And that never should have happened in our country. Yeah,
that was actually one of the things people say about the Bernie Sanders candidacy, is that we were kind of in the frog in the water analogy people make about if the water is cool, the frog is happy, it's slowly heating, and the frog doesn't realize it's happening. But if you drop a frog into a boiling pot, he knows to jump out. Well, that analogy to socialism was this idea, and I'm sure you've heard this, but we were slowly boiling towards socialism.
Right.
Along the way, in ways you're describing, that we pay more and more in taxes, and the government's redistributing it around the world and in our country. But Bernie Sanders is kind of one of the good things about him. He's helped Americans see this is actually happening here right now. And this is in your face. This is the hot water they're trying to drop. So I love that, and I think it is awakening a lot of discussion in America about whether we're going to go along with this or fight it.
Look, my mother became a single mother when I was very young, and so I saw her work multiple jobs to take care of my family. When I became a single mother, I've had to do the same thing. And I think there are a lot of women that understand that and that don't want the government to be the one that's constantly taking everything they earn. But look, the American family is being attacked right now by the government. When you look at Obamacare and what it did to us, when I had my daughter as a single mother, I spent over $5,000 just in paying deductible costs. That is an attack on the American family. The most natural procedure that every woman will have in her lifetime is to give birth. How is it that that's become the most expensive one under Obamacare? And I believe that they're attacking the American family at every step with their socialist policies, and that's what we've got to turn and fight against.
We sure do. I could not agree more. So
well, that's why I'm running.
Well, that was kind of the kind of what drives you to run was what I guess the question I was going to close with or open with. But yeah, you're running.
I'm frustrated. Our government's not working for us. And I think a lot of people are frustrated by what's happening in Washington. But I'm personally frustrated, and I feel like I have a very different background and experience that our party needs to win moving forward. In Virginia, in particular, we have lost so many seats in the last 5 to 10 years, and we keep losing running the same kind of candidates. So we've got to do something different if we want to actually win. And I realized that because I have a unique background experience, I need to give it to the party to help us win. I don't want to lose. I want my daughter to be able to grow up in an environment where she's not treated as a bigot or racist or misogynist for just being conservative. We shouldn't be.
We shouldn't be is absolutely right. So I'll tell you, here in the great state of Texas, when we get involved in campaigns, which I endlessly do, people, the way among the main things, everyone has to raise money, of course, but you do. It's a lot of the community events and knock on doors, and so is your life just bursting with activity every moment to get this campaign?
It's very busy. So I still run my organization full time. I did it while I was pregnant and had my daughter, so I have never stopped. And so then I campaign full time, and that's what I do. And I think that's what a lot of hardworking Americans do. So I don't want to be dependent on others. I think that it's important that whatever people donate to my campaign goes to the campaign, and that's why I keep working as long as I can.
Bless you. Okay, so you mentioned earlier, I'll say it again. We're speaking with Tina Ramirez. She's running for U.S. Congress from the state of Virginia, CD7, Congressional District 7. You can find her on Twitter at Tina Ramirez VA for Virginia, and also her website, Tina Ramirez. I'm sorry, am I saying that right? TinaRamirez.com.
Yes.
That is it. Okay.
That's it.
So if people want to help you, they can obviously donate.
Yeah, I would love for them to donate. That would be a huge help. I mean, look, Abigail Spanberger raises money across the country and has about $500,000 every quarter. And it's from Soros and Bloomberg and even James Comey. So as conservatives,
James Comey donates to your opponent.
James Comey. She used to be she used to work for the CIA. So you know, who knows? But so we, as conservatives, we need to come together and support candidates that can help us win. And this isn't just about Virginia. This is about building a bench for our country of conservatives that can help us take back our country.
Absolutely right. And taking back the U.S. House, I mean, you said it, and I've said it on the show many times, but if we don't take back the majority in the U.S. House in these 2020 elections, even if President Trump wins, even if we hold the Senate, we will look at 4 years of ongoing impeachments.
Right.
Impeachment, that's just all that will happen.
Wasting time and money from the American people. That's what it is.
Oh, and it's so outrageous when you think about the people who, ran on things, Democrats who ran on issues like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
All they've done is try to remove the president.
I know. I was a congressional staffer for 4 years, and I did more in those 4 years as a congressional staffer than most congressmen do up there in their lifetime. But I can tell you, Abigail Spanberger spent the last year just focusing on impeaching our president. And so I already have more experience than her, and I look forward to having a debate with her and taking back this seat for common sense Americans that believe in conservative values.
So when is your Virginia primary for your seat?
So April 25th. So we've got about 6 weeks to go.
April 25th. Okay, there was some date on your website that had June 9th. What is that date?
That must be for something else, yeah.
Okay, so April 25th, and it's a 7-way?
It's like there's like 6 other guys running against me. Yeah.
Six guys and you?
Yes.
Okay, you let them have it, Tina. They had no chance.
That's the way I feel. But so we're doing great. We've been running a really aggressive campaign since the beginning. I was the first person to announce. I've been running for almost a year. We've raised more money than anyone else. The majority of that money has come from very small dollar donations from within the district. So I think I have more local support than any other candidate. I was endorsed by the National Republican Congressional Committee last year in August, and by a number of women's PACs, so View PAC and Maggie's List, and I'm really excited about taking the seat back and really helping our party win and succeed in the future. So
I love it. Tina Ramirez, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
coming
Debbie.
in.
Nice
Great
being with
to have
you.
you here. Thank you so much. And my friends, I want to encourage you again to go to her website. It is tinaramirez.com, or you can follow her on Twitter at Tina Ramirez VA. And honestly, well, I met her, my husband and I met her at an event at we have a mutual friend here in Dallas. Both so excited that night. I think this is one of those great campaigns to follow. If you're looking for someone to donate to, which I hope you are, I would consider doing it. So anyway, thanks so much for coming in.
thank you, Debbie.